Hey guys, so I pushed out a pretty significant update to my plugin Rig Sculpt and its companion application Rig Sculpt Workshop. And so I just wanted to do a quick video today going over some of those changes and what is unique about it that I think it brings to the NAM ecosystem that I haven't seen another plugin do yet. Because I genuinely think it will help your workflow. It helped mine, and it's the exact reason that I've been working so hard on it. So yeah, I'll keep this pretty short and just go over what the heart of it is. So, what it does is it gives you a means of navigating your NAM library by sound. Because, as you know, if you've used the stock plugin and many of the other plugins, what your file management experience normally looks like is something like this, right? Where you have your um, folder that you normally go to with your NAMs, and it's got everything in there. In my case, I basically dial in a tone that I like on a given day. Don't worry too much about the settings, and then I just capture it, right? And I do have, like, I am a little bit more detailed than that. Like for the Mark IV, I have something like this where I can come back to them. But I don't know about you guys, but if I see a file name that has like some version of this, I just there's no way I'm gonna navigate that in the moment without getting some kind of option paralysis. So yeah, the alternative that I thought was a better way was to have a way to navigate it by sound. So you can see I have a library of almost 1,200 in here from some of the OGs, right? And they're all organized into archetypes. And within each archetype, there are sub-archetypes, and there are various ways of sorting through them. You know, ascending drive, descending drive, brightness, all of that. And yeah, when you're just looking for a tone to start off with, this is a great starting point. Some other plugins have done something like this column on the left where you can look by author, you can look by amp, manufacturer, amp model. Um, that's all helpful too, but for me personally, I thought navigating by sound leads to less option paralysis, for me at least. And you know, I made this mostly for myself, um, but yeah, it's I think something like it's almost at 4,000 downloads now, and yeah, I'm really happy people are finding it useful because, like I said, I haven't seen another plugin do this yet, and I hope more do, because yeah, it's really helped me. Um, so another option that it gives you is if I have a tone that I already like this is a high gain tone that I come back to quite a bit, which is a Friedman BE100 Deluxe into the power section of my 2C Plus. Now, if I like that already, I can click this Explore button, and from here, I can pivot to other tones that are similar but different in targeted ways. Or I can just look for general similarity. So like if I click here, it will load a similar one. And these will all sound fairly similar because they're the same exact signal chain. But what a really powerful insight is, you know, what amps do you have in your library that are actually pretty close to the tone that you already like? Because that's what can make for a really great stereo rig. So like in this case, I have a Mark IV Rev B setting that sounds pretty similar to the original tone. So if I, you know, go to the Mark IV, pretty similar. And then another cool thing, so that was the similar tab. You can also do the partner tab, which will present you with good candidates to load into the second slot for stereo mode. So I would normally go for something that is a different amp, and that is a configurable setting here. You can set it to prefer different amps for this mode. And yeah, Mark IV Rev B, wouldn't you know? There it is. Now I play. You can see it auto-leveled them up at the top, so they're matching in levels now. Perfect for a stereo rig. And that's very similar in tone, but you can get some really cool results too if you go down further to amps that are even different in character. Like this is one from Slammin' Mofo. Sorry, I don't know your real name, man, but you make awesome captures, and thank you for sharing them. So load this one. And yeah, that is a great sounding stereo rig. And another thing is this Synergize feature, which basically what it does is based on the gain structure of each amp and based on the EQ, when you click Synergize, it will nudge them towards one another. You can see it brought down the gain on the Friedman, brought it up on this one, and then it nudged the EQ. And the display mode here is just what the net changes are, but if you wanted to see what the original measurement was on the EQ, you can change the mode, and you can see how it kind of changes slightly. So yeah, that is the main value of this. For new users, I'm just going to briefly go through what the workflow looks like of getting your NAMs prepared to be read by RigSculpt in this way. So what you'll want to do is open up RigSculpt Workshop, and I'll change the view here to where I'm out of the way. And there are other options in here too, like you can work with your cabinet IRs and your reverb IRs. But we're going to focus mostly on the amp bench today. So you open this up, and you can see I have my library already analyzed and organized here. But if you were to import another one, could go to that same folder that I was just in. So these are all of my Mark IV captures. I'll load one of these. It's going to occupy the audio driver for a second, so I will be quiet. So bear with me for about 10 seconds. All right, so that is done now. And when it finishes up, it's going to prompt me to do something called centralize. Now, what centralization is it makes a clone of any NAM that you run through the RigSculpt workshop. And the reason I did that is because I didn't want to mess with anyone's original files because I can't guarantee hardware compatibility. The one unit that I have is the dime head NAM player, and it didn't create issues, but basically what this does is it puts a metadata block at the very front of the NAM file that gets ignored by most loaders and most hardware. But yeah, I didn't want to unintentionally brick anyone's library. So it'll make a copy that makes it play nice with RigSculpt. You do that. Done. And now it'll prompt me to embed the analysis. Switch the view here so you can see everything. And once you click embed, it's skipping over all the ones that I've already done. And now this is ready to go. And there are other view options here, like you can see a plot of your whole library, which is one way to navigate. But for most use cases, if you're not nerding out, I think when you're in RigSculpt itself, there is plenty here to do. So go back to the library, go to all models. You can rescan your library, and it will populate with the one that we just scanned. So yeah, it's in here. Or if it's not, you can always reload your instance of RigSculpt. And yeah, that is the workflow. And then same thing for your pedal NAMs. There's a full effect suite here. One of the modes is the neural mode. And you can look at all of your pedals that you have analyzed in the RigSculpt workshop as well and load those. And you can view ones that are similar too. I'll tell you which ones are missing the calibration data. Yeah, really useful stuff. The other thing that I just want to briefly clear up, because there's been some chatter online that Rig Sculpt is very CPU heavy. Um, I believe that is a misconception. So let me demonstrate. So here you'll see I have Gateway pulled up, which is Steve's um, version of his own open source plugin that he has not open sourced this. It has a few different features. Um, it's awesome. I used it for the longest time, the original Neural Ant Model plugin with Helix Native, and really, um, it was awesome. Except for the file management, like I loved everything about it, but I really only have like 10 tones that I gravitate towards anyway. Um, but yeah, you'll see the CPU usage is clocking at about 0.5%. And if I load a similar chain in mono here, it's clocking at about 0.5%. And even if I add delay, add reverb, which are both stereo, it doesn't bring it up by a whole lot. So I think what a lot of people are experiencing is when they run something in stereo, it does pump it up a little bit more, double, because you're loading two neural ant models and two IRs. So there's double the processing going on. Another thing too, they might be running it with oversampling. That will also bring the CPU up, but that's what the render mode is for. So you can basically run it with no oversampling. You can run it in playback mode. That will bring everything down to the A2 light, bring down the CPU, but it will render with the maximum settings. So you get the best of both worlds. That covers a lot of, I guess I can go through some of the other features just while we're in here. For those of you that are interested to know. So yeah, this is the main one that I want to cover, noise filter. So you'll hear if I turn this off, I've got a very good dive bar simulator in my setup. Hear that? That's my my computer and my graphics card and monitors, or maybe some other stuff, not really sure. But this filters all that out pretty cleanly. And it's persistent while I'm playing too, so that hum is non-existent while I'm actually playing. But it still preserves a lot of the important tones. Then there is an experimental pitch shift. So when you want to play in C for all your train of thought covers or whatever. Stable enough for chugs. Not quite where I want it, which is why it is called experimental. But yeah, that is what it is. Univibe. Get the idea. Chorus, reverbs, delays. There's all kinds of good stuff in here that I spent a long time on fine-tuning. Full disclosure, I'm a one-man shop. I have a family. I have a kid. I'm not super good at coding. I know, basic stuff, but I used AI assistance for a lot of this. And I think a lot of these free plugins that you see coming out, whether they disclose it or not, many of them are using AI assistance. And for me, at least, ethically, how I square this is why I'm making it free. I made this predominantly for myself because, I didn't just want to post online and say, hey, it would be great if a company could, develop this and find a way to better navigate your NAM library. I didn't want to wait. And I've been let down by companies with products that I've spent, thousands of dollars on, just failure to really take care of the customer. So yeah, I mean the tools are out there. to build tools, basically. I don't look at something like this, a plugin. Um, it's not really an artistic expression of mine. It facilitates artistic expression. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. My views might evolve over time, and I might regret having used AI to make this. But as it stands, I've spent hundreds of hours working on this. People are finding it useful. Thousands of people have downloaded it. It wouldn't have been possible for me to work on this had I not used that assistive technology. But all the accolades belong to the open source community. Steve, of course, who made the decision to open up his work. I wouldn't have been able to make this without that. So, yeah. Um, I hope the tools are useful for you. I hope you get a chance to download them. But yeah, that's where they come from. Hard work, but with a lot of assistance. So yeah, I hope you guys get a chance to check them out. It's been really useful for my workflow, at least. And it's led to less option paralysis and more playing, which I think is the whole point. So yeah, download them. They're free. I will put the link. And yeah, I'm not in the business of advertising this because it's not a product, but I just genuinely think that it will help the community out. And that's the feedback that I've gotten from most of the people who have downloaded it. So, yeah, enjoy.